Welcome back to another live stream, and we are back with an interview live stream. We haven't done one of these in a while. It feels like a while. Maybe it actually isn't that long, but it feels like it was a while ago. Today, we're actually going to be talking to a vegan by the name of Bobby Lynch. This vegan, was attacked by a slaughter worker while investigating a slaughterhouse, like physical fist fight. We're talking, all right? His friend, who is also a vegan, both of them are activists, gets assaulted by one of the workers. They steal his phone because he was trying to film. And in the clip, in the video that we're going to watch, you can see how angry he gets, rightly so, as any of us would if our phone was stolen. And we're going to try to answer the question today, like, is that the right response? Or what is the right response if something like this happens to us as vegans? Like, if a vegan gets attacked, should the vegan be angry? Right? Should we get angry if this happens? Should we get mad? If a vegan gets mad, is that a good or a bad thing for raising awareness? Like, obviously, we're not talking about the individual and what it means for them here. We're talking about overall, how does that impact what we're trying to achieve and what we're trying to do for the animals? So Bobby Lynch is one of the vegans who is in this video, one of the activists who gets attacked in this clip. And we're going to watch that very shortly when he joins. He's joining today's live stream to talk us through it, actually, so we can discuss what happened and we can answer that question. If a vegan gets attacked whilst doing activism or, whilst speaking about veganism, what should they do? So please join me and let's welcome Bobby to the stream. Bobby, I'll unmute you. Welcome to the stream.
Thank you, David. Welcome. Thank you.
Cool. So before we show everybody this clip of you and your flatmate, that's what I was looking for. I almost said partner. That means that's got double meaning, right? We'll go with flatmate.
Well, business partner. He is co-owner of my business.
Perfect.
And we're roommates as well.
Great. Business partner, roommate, flatmate. Awesome. Before we show everybody the clip of you two and what you did here and when you went to the slaughterhouse and being attacked, could you give us a bit of an idea for those that don't know you of who you are and, a bit of a summary of what you're about?
Definitely. Yeah. So guys, I am the founder and CEO of Plant Strength, plantstrength.com. We are an online vegan activism, fitness, nutrition, and lifestyle company. We offer a variety of different services. We have coaching services where we coach clients one-on-one, two-on-one, or in group settings. And we even do program design as well through our coaching web platform and app. You can access this on both iOS and Android. You can download the apps there. But we also have our own plant-based meat chicken bites, which you can purchase online on plantstrength.com or on Amazon. We have our own resistance band sets. I'm the host of Plant Strength Radio, my own podcast, our company's podcast. And we really are out here trying to promote what it means to be vegan and to defy the status quo. That is our motto. We are in this for the animals first and foremost, and we want to show people that you can live your best life in a cruelty-free way.
Awesome, man. You're very good at this summarizing. I think it's definitely a talent, and I think you've nailed a few points there. So now we know a bit about you. Let's take a look at what the whole topic of this conversation is, right? Let's take a look at the clip of what happened with you and your flatmate when you went into a slaughterhouse to investigate. And then after that, you can tell us a bit about what happened. Now, to be clear, if in case just as a precursor to this video, so you know, they were allowed to go in. They weren't breaking in. They were invited in. It was an open day. So what you're seeing here is perfectly legal, okay? So let's take a look at what happened. We'll put the video on full like that so that everyone can see. There you go.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. No. I can't record. Don't touch my phone. I'm telling you no. Give me my phone back right now. Wait. Give me my phone. Don't go. Give me my phone back right now. Don't give me my phone. Wait. Give me my phone. Wait. Give me my phone right now. Well, we're gonna leave. We're gonna leave, bro. Give me my phone. All right, we're gonna leave. Give me my phone right now. No. Wait. Did I say you can touch my phone? Yo, give me my phone.
Hey, wait.
Knock you off. Give me my phone right now.
I don't want to touch you, fool.
Give me my phone.
You coming here for the blade.
I did not touch you. Give me my phone right now. I will knock you out. Give me my phone.
Hey,
Give the phone, man.
you're coming now.
I don't
Give
care.
the phone, man.
Give me my phone right now.
Give the
Give me
phone
my
right
phone.
now. Give the phone
Give
right
me my
now.
phone.
We're gonna leave,
Give me
man.
my phone.
We're gonna leave.
Okay.
Give me my phone.
Ali.
Give me my phone. Yo, don't make me take my. I'll take my phone from you right now.
Ali.
I'll take
We're
my
gonna
phone.
leave.
You have a video
Give me
here,
my
Ali.
phone. Give me my
Ali,
phone.
you have a video here, Ali.
We're gonna leave.
He did nothing wrong, yo. I did not.
Give
Give me my phone.
Hey,
Give me my phone. Give me my phone. Give me my phone. You have my phone. Yo,
We're gonna take your phone. No, we're gonna take your phone. Yo, get listen, bro. You take your phone. We're leaving. Yo, we're leaving. We're not having this right now. Yo, we're not having it. We're not having it. We're out of here. Remember this. You're taking lives. Alright? Don't go for that. You guys are taking. We're crazy, yo. We're crazy, yo.
yo. If you
You're the
quit,
ones
yo,
in there.
you
You're the
get
one in
it.
there
I will knock
cutting
you
animals'
out.
throats off.
I will knock you out. All right.
You're taking animals' throats. You guys are killing animals.
All right. I think that's pretty much the whole. You do a bit of talking after that, but I think ultimately that's the main bulk of the video, right? So, man, high stress, high pressure situation, a lot going on there. How did you feel going through all of that? You know, in that moment, you were filming, obviously, as well as you got your punch thrown at you as well. What was going through your head?
Well, I guess to give a little background on the video, we were there for a vigil initially. That is a vigil that we go to regularly. It's held by the Newark Animal Save in Newark, New Jersey. That's at Halal American Meat Slaughterhouse. So if anyone is in the United States, in this area, New York City area, you guys can go and you can meet us there. But we saw that there was the section of the slaughterhouse that said walk-in customers, because they had an advertisement on their board, on their sign, come in and pick your own animal. We're pretty much saying, come in and pick your own murder victim. We'll kill them right in front of you. And so we wanted to go in to just record the living conditions of the animals and to see whatever we could see. And as you guys saw, we walk in and the worker greets us in. He says, welcome, good morning, good morning. So we were clearly allowed to be in there. And then when DJ's phone was taken, my initial thoughts were, well, I'm going to record this. I just want to get this all on camera. So at some points I was holding my phone down because there was more workers coming around and I didn't want any of them to try to grab the phone out of my hand. And if I had both hands free, I probably would have, because there was a point when I was standing right next to the worker, he had the phone behind his back. There was a point where if I had both hands free, I could have grabbed DJ's phone out of the guy's hand. Mm-hmm. But ultimately what happened was one of the other workers came up, his phone was in his back pocket. And so I, as a distraction, grabbed it out of his back pocket, held it up here. Everyone looked at my phone, including the worker who had, because that worker had passed DJ's phone to this guy whose phone I just took. And so I held it up here, and then DJ immediately went into that guy's pocket, grabbed his phone out, and that's when we started making our way out. But they were trying to hold us back. So I have my phone down on the side because I don't want to get that knocked out of my hand. And then with my right hand, I'm pushing the workers off of me, and DJ's doing the same so we can leave. We didn't go in there with any malicious intentions. We did not want to be violent. We didn't want to have things elevate to what they did. We went in there because we wanted to show what these animals go through. We want to show people who they are paying for to die. And it is what it is. Like, it's what happened, and that wasn't what we were wanting to happen. But I'm happy it played out the way it did, because it kind of just shows exactly how these workers operate and how they really have no regard for people, for life.
Why do you think? I mean, a simple point could have just been like, at the beginning he said no, and that could have been enough. You could have had a conversation about that. okay, why can't we film? Well, because of this. Okay, well, why can't we film? We can buy, but we can't film. You know, that's what normally happens in these circumstances. Normally, or not normally, but that's what you would expect. If someone's advising you can't do that, they wouldn't put hands on you. What do you think made this guy immediately put hands on, as in he gave you barely even a chance to consider your actions before he put his hands on your property? Why do you think he did that?
I think he did that because they know what they're trying to hide. They don't want the public to see these animals because that's what keeps the public purchasing their dead bodies and their secretions, because they don't ever get to see the animals. They don't get to see them going through their suffering. They don't get to see the brutal death that these animals have to endure. And so I think that's exactly why he tried to hide it, because they just don't want it. They don't want to be exposed. And we're going to do whatever we possibly can to expose them, because they need to be exposed. People deserve to know the truth. And like you said, if he had simply just said, no, hey guys, you're not allowed to film, we would have turned around, and DJ even said, why can't I immediately the phone was taken from him. I mean, we've had situations where we go into public gyms, for example, and we're recording just our workouts, and we don't know, because there's no signs posted anywhere that we can't record. And then a worker will just come up, hey guys, just so you know, you're not allowed to record. Oh, okay, no problem. It's like
simple.
It's not walk up to us, tell us no,
grab the phone.
What does no even mean? And then snatch the camera or phone out of our hand.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you expect to happen from there?
Yeah, for sure. And then it escalated from there. Obviously, we'll talk about how you guys handled it in a minute. But first of all, what do you think? What do you think pushed them to? Okay, the guy took the phone, right? That's one thing. That's not good. But at least he wasn't throwing punches or anything like that. What about this last guy? You know, and a few of them were very angry. The last guy threw a big, you know, obvious, over the top, fucking. What are they like? It's like a drunken punch, you know, the big over, like you can see it coming a mile away. But I mean, that it had some. He had some menace, you know. He was throwing it because he wanted to cause the most damage. Like you don't throw a punch from back here unless you really want to hurt someone, you know. Like maybe if he'd have come up and jabbed you, it would have been like, well, he's pissed off. But that was like he wanted to hurt you guys. So why were they so angry? Why did they want to hurt you? I mean, it's one thing to take the phone; it's another thing to try and physically harm you, right? So what do you think was pushing them to do that?
I just really think it's the working conditions that they're in. It's what they have to do. They literally every single day torture and kill innocent beings. So why would they have any regard? They don't have any regard for these innocent beings' lives. Why would they have any regard for mine or for DJ's? And yeah, I mean, it was kind of funny. Once I saw him coming up, he was ready. I had that camera up and I was just like, ooh. I just went right by. It was so easy to.
Well, you had about a year to avoid it. So
I know, seriously, but that's why I think why they did what they did and why they reacted the way they do. And at the same time, I always try to have empathy. Like I can understand and I can be empathetic of the fact that, hey, you know what, this is what they're doing. But at the same time, they're also the ones who choose to work in this profession. You can choose to work another job. You don't have to choose to take a job that causes you to brutally kill innocent creatures on a daily basis. That's your doing. So if you're the one, if you're going through this PTSD, that's because you put yourself in this situation. Yeah,
no, for sure. There's a lot of talk of people, a lot of people but tend to defend these people and say they don't have a choice. But I mean, I mean, you might find there are some extreme cases where somebody literally goes homeless or does this job. And yeah, they do exist, but they are not the majority. You know, these are fringe examples that the majority of people could definitely do something else. And this would have to be, you know, this is if this was being done for survival, I would say that that's something we need to discuss in a different way. But the majority of the time, it is not for survival. It's for easy money, because it is very easy money, easy job, obviously, but not mentally, as these people will learn probably after a couple of weeks of doing this. And then, yeah. In hindsight, though, let's kind of move the spotlight onto you guys now. We've talked about what they did and why they did what they did, but what about you? What about you and DJ? So, you know, looking back at how this went when you watched that video, would you have done it differently if you knew this was going to happen now? Is there anything you would have done differently?
Of course, hindsight is always 2020. We can look back and say we could have done something else differently. But the fact is, I don't really like to even talk in that lens because we learn from our experiences. And so everything played out the way it was meant to play out. And from that, we learned. I don't think, honestly, if I wouldn't, even if I knew this going in, I wouldn't have done anything differently. Maybe, I guess the only thing differently I would have done is wore a hidden body camera so that it wasn't, so that none of that would have happened, and we could have gone in there. We could have had more of an interaction. No one would have known we were filming. That is literally the only thing we would have done differently. And then, and thinking from DJ's perspective, I wasn't the one who had my phone taken out of my hand. And a lot of people wanted to, especially on the video, want to comment on the video and say how wrong DJ was. I don't think DJ was in the wrong at all. DJ never physically assaulted the man. He was the one who had his phone taken from him. And it's just, maybe he did get elevated, but put yourself in his position. He just had his phone taken. How would you feel? And then you're also you're in a place where you have all these slaughterhouse workers coming to surround you. You're going to do what you have to do to defend yourself.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, all he did was intimidate, and he's very good at that. I mean, I wasn't, watching him is intimidating in that video. Even though it's not targeting it at you, it's like, Jesus, I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of that, and that is effective. Sometimes you don't even need to be physical or even go that far. If you are good at the verbal intimidation, you'll get what to defend yourself. Then that's great. If you don't have to be physical, and he wasn't physical, so but there's one thing that maybe you would do differently that I think maybe I would recommend doing differently if you could look back and change it. If you knew this was going to happen, I'd go back and make sure that you're ready for that over the top punch, because I mean that came in quick, and if you knew that was going to happen, you'd be able to avoid it.
I didn't get hit.
I'm joking. I'm being sarcastic.
Oh, yeah,
I know you didn't get. I'm just saying, it came in so fast. That it would have been good to know if that was going to come. Like in hindsight, like, if I knew that punch was coming, I could have. If I just, it's coming. Oh. All right. All jokes aside, though. All jokes aside. That's my bad. We went from serious to sarcastic too quickly there. That was my fault. I caught you off guard. But in general, in a general sense, this is a serious conversation. This is actually a really good topic. I don't see it being discussed a lot at all. We as vegans, vegans have this idea that we need to represent ourselves publicly in a certain way. And if we don't, then we're doing some kind of disservice to the animals, disservice to the vegans, but mainly the animals, right? We're not good for the animals if we act a certain way. So with that in mind, should vegans defend themselves in these kinds of situations? Be aggressively, as DJ did, verbally, aggressively, even though he didn't hit anyone, it was very aggressive, right? Or should we be neutral or even submissive? What do you think is well, it's not a simple answer, but where do you stand on that?
10 out of 10 times defend yourself. I don't think you should back down if someone is going to physically harm you or enact some sort of violence on you. In this case, forcibly taking DJ's phone out of his hand. You have the right to defend yourself. If we're talking, someone wants to call you some names, we're just doing words, there's no action involved, you can just let that go, because that means nothing. A lot of people are all talk, especially these keyboard warriors who want to, because we were getting so many comments like, I hope you guys get seriously hurt by the slaughterhouse workers. I hope you guys die, this and that. Yeah. And I'm like, hey man, thanks for commenting. I appreciate it. It helps the algorithm. Have a great day, because no one's going to say that stuff to you in person. And even if they do say something in person, okay, go ahead, do something about it. That's fine. Yeah. And too, thinking of in terms of DJ's perspective, DJ grew up in the inner city of New York City. I mean, he was attacked multiple times growing up by gangs, literally having to defend his life, watching people get shot, seeing people get killed, seeing people get stabbed to death. That's what he grew up. He has been jumped numerous times in his life, had to fight to defend himself. Yeah. If you do that to somebody, you take their phone out of their hand where he grew up, there is no, give me my phone back or I'm going to knock you out. It's you're knocked out. It's you're jumped, you're beaten. You could be even shot, stabbed. There's no questions asked. It's just action right away. So the way he held back in restraint, because DJ's a really good person. I know him. He's one of my best friends. He's a really good person, but he's going to defend himself. And I think he did exactly what he should have done. And of course, like, I was trying to be more calm during that whole situation, but no, I like, to answer your question, 10 out of 10 times, if you're in a situation where somebody is being violent towards you, defend yourself. Don't start it, but defend yourself.
We get this reputation from the public, especially, but actually a lot from other vegans too. We have this reputation as vegans, as the vegan community, the vegan whatever, that we are all overly sensitive, compassionate, loving people, and that when we act in the ways as as DJ did or as you did, you know, we're shouting at them outside, for example, or inside when DJ's jumping up in his face. A lot of vegans I know would say that this is a bad image, and a lot of people outside of veganism would look at that and say, I thought vegans were compassionate. I thought vegans were loving. Vegans don't do that. So we get this label from both inside and outside of the, I don't know, I hate calling it a community because it's not a community. It's a whatever, just vegans and non-vegans say very similar things when it comes to this. How should we respond, do you think, to the people that look at us and just say, well, if you are a vegan, then you should be this, and this, and this, and you shouldn't be aggressive. You shouldn't defend yourself. You should have been calm and nice and smiled and just called the police and not dealt with it yourself, or whatever they say, whatever bullshit they say. Because I agree with you, right, that we should defend ourselves because we're fucking human like everybody else. But how would you respond to someone who's putting this on you? Like, you should act this way because you're a vegan.
I think that they can say whatever they want to say. That's their opinion. But if opinion doesn't dictate objective fact, and if that's how you want to respond in that situation, you have the freedom to respond in that situation. But put yourself in that situation, and then let's see how you react. Until you're in that situation, you really can't say this is what you should or should not do, because you don't know exactly what you're going to do until you're in that situation. Just like I said, I tried to remain as calm as possible, but I wasn't the one who had my phone taken. If I had my phone taken, I might have reacted in a very similar way.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know. I can't tell you until I'm in that situation. I do think for the most part, it's best to keep your cool and keep a level head. Mm-hmm. Like, they even teach this in martial arts. The best fighters are the ones who can remain calm, and they don't see red, they don't black out, they keep a very level head, so that they can focus on their craft. But at the same time, if someone's going to be violent towards me, physically violent towards me, I'm going to defend myself. If you want to back down from someone being physically violent towards you and submit, that's your choice, but it's what it is. Like, I don't think people, I mean, we get this hate all the time. We always get hate. People are going to have their own opinions. Let them have their own opinions. That's what I say. And just do you. Stay in your lane.
Yeah, man. Totally agree. If you had backed down and put on the soft voice and said, "Hey, man, look, let's all be friends. Let's all be friends," they'd have been they'd be like, "You fucking vegan pussy! Exactly. Look at you, you little wimp! Can't defend yourself against this guy. What's wrong with you?" Exactly. You know, it's you can't win with these people. And I personally think, and the reason that my channel is the way it is, and I am the way I am. I'm not putting an act on when I talk to you. I'm not putting an act on when I do my videos. When I first started making videos, I actually did have a little bit of an act, actually, to be totally honest with you. I was acting as though I was more loving and more of a compassionate person than I was, because I felt like that was what was expected of me, being a vegan making social media content. And then in the last couple of years is when I've really come into my own, because I've realized that, like, no, that isn't me. I am a nice person, I am compassionate, but I swear a lot and I call shit out. And I agree with you that if someone is up in your face threatening you or taking your shit, then being filmed or not, vegan or not, you can, if you want to, if you feel like this is what you want to do, grip them and, you know, do something about it. You can defend yourself. And if you feel like something wrong is about to happen, you can also throw the first punch. If you feel like there's a punch coming, that is a form of defense. If you see it coming and you're like, well, they're going to hit me soon, I better do it first. I see that as a form of defense. And that's where I stand. And I'm not playing into this, you know, you shouldn't be like this because you're vegan bullshit anymore. But I used to play into it. And I actually think I think that a lot of anti-vegans think that vegans are all, whatever. I hate using this word, but like pussies or like snowflakes or whatever, because of us trying to act up to this image that someone created. I think we need more people who are just themselves. And if you are the kind of person who's like, nah, I don't take no shit, and I will scrap with someone to defend myself, and I will swear, and I will say fuck you, I think that's what you should be like publicly. Vegan, if you're a vegan and you're doing activism and that's who you are, then be yourself. I mean, like don't go on insulting people and stuff unless they deserve it. But the point is like, I think we could all do with a little bit more of a dose of like being yourself rather than trying to be some, I don't know, some weird image of, oh, I'm a loving and compassionate vegan, when in reality you're not. You just believe that animals don't deserve to be abused. Like you don't love, some people don't even love animals. They're just like, I'm indifferent towards animals, but I don't want to kill them. I think we need a bit more of that, is what I'm trying to say. Like people just be themselves, and I totally agree with you, man.
100%. I feel like people do put a lot, but people do what they think others want them to do. And I can tell you, I was definitely guilty of that when I was growing up, like being young, middle school, high school, even kind of tailing into college, just always wanting to appease others versus instead of always speaking my exact truth. I would speak my truth, but at the same time, there wasn't always, I still feel like I wasn't fully myself. I still wasn't fully speaking my full truth, because I would lend to, oh, maybe this is what they want to hear, so I'm going to say it like that. And then, of course, you grow up, you grow out of that, and you realize that doesn't serve me. It's not bringing me happiness. I'm going to put myself first. I'm going to be a good person. I'm not going to do anything to harm anyone else or bring them down, but I'm also going to just speak the truth. And sometimes the truth hurts, but if it's the truth, at least I'd rather have the truth come from me than to come from somebody else.
I'm with you, man. I'm totally with you. Yeah. And then, exactly. And this whole idea, like the most common shit you'll get for being yourself, if yourself is not what everyone thinks you should be. This is where these comments come up, like, oh, you're hurting the movement, you're bad for the animals, or you've given us you're making us look bad. And like, if you're getting those kinds of comments, chances are you're doing exactly what you need to be doing. Because trust me, if everyone does what these people think is right, then that's when we do become a cult. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. People accuse us of being a cult. If every single vegan looks, sounds, and speaks in the same language as Earthling Ed, then we become a cult.
Exactly.
That is the definition of it. So it's so important to, like you said, find your truth and speak your truth. And if your truth ends up being a bit, I don't know what, you're brazen, direct like me, you swear a lot. Sometimes you call people, you make up a name or like Meat Flake, and you start calling people meat. Like if that's you, just fucking do it. And if people don't like it, well, it's a big world. There's plenty of other people they can go listen to. Go listen to Earthling Ed or anyone else out there. Like, there's a lot of people out there, and it's not like every single person's going to come to you and then, that's it. You're the only one they can listen to. So another, the event you were at was a vigil event. You mentioned that. Maybe some people aren't too sure what a vigil event is. So could you maybe give a quick kind of description of what a vigil event is?
Yeah, so a vigil is where outside of the slaughterhouse, the truck stops, and it's usually arranged by an animal save, a local animal save. So like I said, this one is put on by the Newark Animal Save in Newark, New Jersey, because this vigil takes place at Halal American Meat Slaughterhouse, which is in Newark, New Jersey. And they arrange it, and they have it set up where every 2 weeks they come, and as the trucks come with the animals to unload the animals, before they're unloaded, the truck stops, and the activists, we get to go up to the truck and give the animals some water, give some food to them, and just show them some love and compassion, things that they've never seen in their entire lives of entire short lives. I mean, because these animals are all babies. They're 4 to 6 months old, and they've literally just been subjected to a life of suffering, and they don't know what compassion is. And it's crazy because they are so innocent. They still come up to you. They let you pet them. They just want to receive love even after everything they've been through. So that is what a vigil is. It's a really powerful experience. This was actually the first vigil that I went to when I moved down to New York City. And that is what made me become an activist, like become an active animal rights activist. I had that activist inside me, but I didn't want to let him out because I was still thinking of other people's opinions. I thought, okay, I created my account, Bobby Physique. It was mainly centered around fitness and nutrition. When I created the account, I wasn't even vegan at the time. And then, now I went vegan, but I was still more focused around vegan fitness and nutrition. And I was like, okay, well, maybe, I'm going to lose followers if I speak out on these animal rights. And only like the opposite happened. As soon as I started speaking out, my engagement went way up. I started gaining followers, and I had a lot of people reaching out and saying, thank you for being not just like a vegan athlete and bodybuilder, but also speaking up for the animals, which we don't see them do that. And so I would highly recommend going to a vigil. It was a very powerful experience, actually being able to connect with the animals in person and feeling their energy, because it's one thing to see it and to see this footage online, but it's another to see it in person, and it really, really moves you to a deeper place.
Absolutely. I agree with everything you said. Absolutely everything. And normally these events are free from conflict with like workers and drivers, and there's some like disagreements maybe between the drivers, but there's never really any big conflict. I'd say the biggest conflict that has probably ever happened at any of these events worldwide would be over in Canada with Regan Russell, who was hit by one of these trucks, but that and killed. Unfortunately, it was a horrible situation. This truck driver accelerated at her, and she couldn't get out of the way and killed her during a vigil event. And then that exact location and where they do these events is a very special location. There's a lot of political fighting going on there. There's been a lot of tension there. So although this was tragic, this was a one-off. I would say that anything as horrible as that has happened. But actually, you also experienced something, definitely not at that level as that, but you experienced something very unpleasant at one of your vigils as well that I wanted to share here as well, because it's on the same topic, and we're talking about conflict between vegans and workers, and this is another great example of one of these conflicts, and we can discuss how you handled it and what to do. So to give you the background, people who've not seen this video before, you were at a vigil and you were filming
the same
vigil. Wow, I didn't realize it's the same vigil.
Same vigil, later date, earlier, it happened earlier this year. Same workers.
Okay, so you were at the vigil and there was a cow injured in the back of one of the trucks, and rather than trying to get the cow out and taking them inside the slaughterhouse as they would normally do, they decided to kill that cow in the back of the truck. You were trying to film, and then they decided to throw shit at you to stop you from filming. So let's take a look at what happened, a short clip, and then we'll talk about it a bit more about what happened. Exactly. Okay, so we'll pause that there. It's a very, very powerful video, and you can see where that's up on your page, on your YouTube, Plant Strength. I highly recommend everyone go over there and watch the full video, because it's a very, very powerful video, very well made. And I see the audio wasn't on there, by the way, for some reason, but you saw the images at least anyway. You could see what was going on. So yeah, get over to Plant Strength and watch the video. So Bobby, talk us through that then. So why do you think they did that? They picked it up inside the truck, didn't they? And they threw it through the slits in the truck to get you. Why were they doing that? do you think?
Again, it's the same reason that they took DJ's phone when we went in months back on the first video that we watched. It's because they don't want us to expose the truth. They don't want us to show the public how they abuse and brutally kill these animals. They cut her head off. No anesthesia. No, they didn't knock her out. They just sliced open her throat right there in front of us on the truck, and then chopped her entire body up because her leg was broken. She was also pregnant, by the way. And you can see in the video, if you guys go watch the full video, you'll see her fetus as her stomach is out on the ground. You'll see the fetus, the dead fetus. She was pregnant. Her leg was broken. They couldn't get her off the truck. They had been trying to yank on her neck to get her to move, couldn't move her. And so they said, we're just going to cut her up right here. And they don't want us to show that, because they know that if the public sees this, the public is going to stop purchasing these products. It's supply and demand. The more people that are aware of what they're actually purchasing, the less the demand is going to be. That supply is going to go down, and the less money they're going to make. And it's not like we don't want these people to have jobs and to make a living and to live in society and be a human being. We want what's best for these humans as well, for these workers, but you can do it doing another job. You don't need to choose to do this, and yet you're the ones who choose to do this. So of course we're going to try to expose you and to shut you down to whatever we can do. And it's just insane. Like, simply take yourself out of your own perspective and put yourself into the perspective of the victim, and ask yourself, what would you want done to or for you if you were that cow? Would you want to be chopped up and killed because your leg is broke and you can't move? Like, that's it. Okay, hey, you know what? Imagine that. You break your leg, you go to the doctors, and they're like, well, this is the end of your life. I don't know what to tell you. Time to hang you up, cut your head off. Like, it's absolutely insane. And I just, again, the workers, they threw shit at us because they didn't want us to see, they didn't want us to film, and they're just immature. There's really no other way to do that. You just don't do that. That's so disrespectful to do that to somebody.
Yeah. It's I think the combination of the immaturity, they find it funny, I guess because you're out there doing that, and they're seeing you as an enemy, and they find the whole thing, probably found it quite funny. I bet they thought it was a cool thing to do, and obviously they don't want to film. They don't want you to film it. I mean, it's
and what you saw, that was the second time I had shit thrown at me. I didn't get the first one I filmed, because what happened was they started putting up the truck driver started putting up boards on the truck so we couldn't see. And as soon as he put up the boards on one side and went around to the other side of the truck, I lifted one of the boards up so we could get our cameras in there, and immediately they threw shit at me. And that's when I was like, I was felt so disrespected by that. I started pulling down all the boards off the truck. And in my head, I was like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to expose them, because obviously I can't run on the truck and attack the workers and try to save the cow. Like, legally, I just can't do that. So I'm going to do whatever I can. So I ripped off all the boards as much as I could. And then I moved over to the part of the truck where there weren't any boards on it, and I started filming. And I was I had it set in my mind, you're going to disrespect me like that, I'm going to make sure that I expose you for exactly who you are. Yeah.
And I don't blame you for it, and I'm happy you took that inspiration to get in there and do it. It's definitely in a wider sense, it's definitely not clean work. Let's say being out there and trying to do this investigatory work. I've never had a worker throw shit at me personally, but I've been, I've had my fair share of shit on me. As unfortunately, the animals don't understand where they are, what they're doing. They don't know that you're there trying to help, and of course they sometimes don't know which way they're facing. And when, unfortunately, if you're up taking a video and they take a pee or a poo, you can find yourself with a significant amount of it on you at these events, and that's something else you've got to be prepared for. I think if you're going to get close to the truck, it's actually quite a difficult scenario there, because you're kind of angry at them, but at the same time you're like, oh, how can I be? Like, you're pissed off. You're like, what the fuck? I'm trying to help you and you're fucking shitting on me. But then you're like, well, you don't know what you're doing, and yeah, definitely. I think anyone who's done any kind of investigatory work has had their fair share of piss and poo all over them, and I think it's
But it's just different when a worker is throwing it at you.
Oh, yeah, totally.
An animal just can't control that, and they're just stuck where they are.
Yeah, I guess the point I'm making is if you want to get into investigatory work like this, especially getting in farms, or if you're going to get a camera and get up close to these trucks, that's something you've got to be prepped for. And it's a shock to hear that. It's expected to happen, that when animals poo on you and stuff like that, it's expected, but it is such a shock to hear that a worker actually took some of it and used it as a weapon. I mean, that's just another level, and I think you're one of the few people out there who's unfortunately faced this, but at least with you, it was on film, and then we can raise awareness with it now, and that's the silver lining to it all. I think really is all the things you've seen and done so far in your activism that have been so horrible, like this, going in there and being attacked and then having them throw shit at you outside and disrespect you. So at least it was all on film, and then it can be used to inspire more people to do more about this, and that's the silver lining, really. I think it would have been terrible if this wasn't captured, because then you'd only have your words and your story, and it's good, but it's much better to have it filmed. And so I think that's definitely there's a silver lining to all of it, really, isn't there? And you definitely see that, which is why you've made those videos, right? And that's now we're here having this conversation. So there's definitely there's some good can come of this bullshit. Some good can come of these horrible high pressure, violent situations. And on that note, with all of this conflict and I don't know if you call it violence, I suppose aggression, maybe the better word. Have you ever thought about stopping? Like, this is your first vigil. Did you at any point think, oh fuck, this is too much for me, or is it the opposite? Did this spur you on?
100% the opposite. It just motivated me to speak out even more. Like I said, that was the first where DJ and I got attacked. That was the first vigil that both of us had went to, and that at the end of the video we talk about how this is our first vigil, but it most certainly is not going to be our last. We just felt so much more motivated and so much more compelled to speak out. And I just think of the animals. I put myself in their position and I ask, what would I want done to or for me if I were in their position? I wouldn't wish what they have to go through on a daily basis to my worst enemy. Mm-hmm. And I act as if I were them, and I do whatever I possibly can. What would I want done for me? If I can't defend myself, then if someone else can help speak up and defend me and try to end my suffering, then yes, please do that for me. And so that's what I'm going to do, because I have this platform, I have my voice, and we have the internet, and we can expose to millions, billions of people everything that these animals go through. So I'm going to continue to do it. And it just motivates me. Like when shit like this happens, it motivates me to keep going. I want to get in more situations like this because I want people to see exactly who these people are and what they're doing to these animals. Yeah.
And what advice would you have on a personal note? Actually, I was going to give you an example of someone else, but actually I can give you I'll ask you the question from myself, right? So someone like me, I've done a lot of vigils, right? And I did them in countries like in India, which meant that I was able to see everything. What I mean is from the moment they take the animal from the transport all the way through to killing them and then selling them to somebody. I saw every single step. I saw that with chickens, saw that with buffaloes and goats, and some other birds as well, some breeds of bird that I don't know the name of. And especially with the chickens, I saw, I'd have to say, if I gave you a number, maybe 1,000, could be more, over the space of time I was in India, go through, transport, throats being slit, heads being chopped off, served up to people, and listening to them scream. And it can be, I know some people would find this to be like, oh my God, they're listening to me now, like, holy shit, that would destroy me. Now, obviously, I didn't start off doing that. I built up a tolerance to this, seeing these things from Europe. And then when I went to India, I had some level of understanding of what was going to happen. But when someone goes to a vigil for the first time, they would feel the same way that I feel now after seeing all of that, overwhelmed. Not necessarily motivated to keep going at that point. Like, it's just like, it's too much. Like, it's just, I have loads of footage, for example. I can't even look at it. I've not used any of it. It's just sat there. I can't face it. And there are other people out there who will go to one vigil and have the same feeling that I feel now. What would you say to people like that to get them back on board? I know it's a lot to ask of you, but like, what kind of advice would you give someone who's in that at that moment, maybe, who's someone who didn't respond as well as you did, maybe, to the first vigil, someone who's like, oh my God, I just want to go home and curl up in a ball and, you know, never do that again?
I would say, take your time, go home and curl up in a ball if you need, like, process everything that you felt. You're human, so you really can't control how you feel. It just, emotions come and go. So I would say, sit with those emotions, feel how you feel, and then eventually you'll kind of come to things again and give yourself another chance. Just don't be hard on yourself. Don't, you know, maybe because other people could say, oh, don't be such a pussy. Come on, you're trying to be an animal rights activist. Go stand up for the animals. Just give yourself some time, step away from things, and then in due time, you'll feel like you'll know what is right, and you'll come to that. And when you're ready, you're ready. Because even though I had been watching the videos online, I didn't feel like, even going into the vigil, I just, like, on the way there, I felt a sort of level of anxiety. I went vegan because of the animals, and because of seeing people at vigils and because of seeing the slaughterhouse footage, but I didn't know if I really wanted to experience that in person. And so I remember going there, riding in the car, I was feeling, in even the days leading up to it, I was feeling a sort of anxiety, but I just meditated on it. I let it sit, and then I got there and I experienced what I experienced, and I felt how I felt. And now I go to the vigils regularly. So everyone is going to respond differently. So don't be hard on yourself. Take it for how it is and keep moving forward. Like, eventually you'll be able to find that strength, because when you really connect with what are you being an activist for? Who are you being an activist for? What matters most? Your in the moment feelings of uncomfortableness, or the fact that which is going to pass, or the fact that these animals are eternally suffering and losing their lives. Weigh that out, right? And then you start to see, okay, you know what? The animals matter most. I'm going to find that strength. But it comes with time. So for me, it just, right, like that. Other people, same thing with going vegan. Some people go vegan overnight. I didn't go vegan overnight. I had to, like, transition into it. But you just got to find that strength within yourself. And it takes time sometimes.
Sure. It's a good answer. Yeah, it's a good answer. I think, yeah, definitely. I think it's a good answer, in the sense of, like, take as long as you need to make sure that you can come back and actually do the job properly. Because the worst thing you could do is come back and do a poor job and end up putting yourself in a position that was even worse than before you stopped, if that makes sense. Like, you put yourself in a position where you're feeling very vulnerable, very uncomfortable, very, I don't know what the word would be here, like, I don't know, anxious, depressed, and then you come back too early, and then you just end up with it even worse, because you can't do what you want to do properly, and then you feel even worse, and you go back again. And so it's better to, yeah, as you said, take the time that you need to make sure you come back at full strength and you can handle what's about to happen, right? Especially if we're talking about vigils specifically here. Vigils, investigations, you need to be very mentally prepared for those. Or you can actually cause not just suffering for yourself, but you can cause suffering for them as well. Like, if you're at a vigil and you are a complete mess, the thing is with the non-human animals, most of them, what they lack in verbal communication, they make up for in non-verbal communication. So they have people have said, like, they almost have like a sixth sense, in that they can feel things almost. I don't know how to explain it. Some of them can feel the energy of the place, or you know, the, I guess, tonality of people's voices, the way people move and things like that. They sense all of that and put it all together. So if you're clearly distressed, they will be distressed. And that's the last thing you want to be doing to someone who's about to go into a slaughterhouse and have the worst day of their entire life and, you know, be horrifically, brutally killed. You don't want to be someone that causes them to be even more stressed. So I think taking the time to make sure you can handle that is very, very important. Yeah. I appreciate you answering the question. And that actually segues on to the Q&A. Actually, I asked you the first question. So I hope other people have more questions for the Q&A now, actually. So let's, I've had a quick look through. I think somebody asked one very early on, but guys, if you want to ask questions for myself or Bobby, put them in the chat. I would say if you want your question guaranteed answered, we're only going to be here for like, say, probably 15 to 20 minutes maximum, depending on how it goes. We'll see how we feel. But yeah, as we're only going to be here for a short period of time, if you definitely want it answering, you're really, really passionate, you want your question answered for sure, use the Streamlabs donation link or use the super chat, and I will definitely answer your question. And you'll be supporting the stream, which it's, you know, it's great for me because this is my job. This is what I do. So please do consider doing that so you can support me, help me make more videos, help me do more of this work and get great people on like Bobby. And also put a question in your donation, put a question in your super chat, and we'll answer it for you. So I'm just going to go check over on the Streamlabs dashboard and see if anyone's actually done that yet. Okay. But yeah, thanks for coming on, man. It's definitely been smoother than the last time we tried this, huh?
Totally. It's a pleasure to be on, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. For those that don't know, last time we actually got on and did this a very similar interview, and oh my god, my system was just falling to pieces. Everything was lagging. You know, the videos weren't working. Oh, it was just an absolute mess. So this time, at least, as far as I can see, it's gone smoothly. So it's something.
Yeah.
We've been able to get some, you know, get the important points out there. But yeah, I'll keep an eye on the dashboard, by the way. We can just like shoot the shit for a little bit, or maybe I'll ask you a few.
I want to give a shout out because her name on the chat is Girly0. I see her comments all the time on the Plant Strength videos. She watches all the videos, so I appreciate your support, and she said some kind words in here. So I really appreciate that, and we're definitely going to continue making these videos because we're in this for the animals. So thank you for supporting.
There she is, Girly0. Bobby's interviews on Plant Strength are really great, showing so many diverse vegans and different forms of activism. Really inspiring. He deserves a lot more views. There you go, guys.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Isn't that a great advertisement for you all to go and subscribe to Plant Strength on YouTube? We actually did a podcast there as well. So if you want to see, this was a completely different interview to the one you've seen here. It was very personal. It was mainly about me and my life and my life story. So if you are interested in that, I always feel weird like saying, like, if you're interested in watching a video all about my life, then go over here. And it's kind of like, you know, this whole, like, you know, I don't know, being like a social media kind of guy, I still doesn't really sit well with me, the idea that somebody would want to watch that. But if you do want to watch that, get over to Plant Strength YouTube. It's on there, right? The podcast is up there from a few weeks ago.
The title is Vipassana. And
yes,
it's season 3, episode 6 of Plant Strength Radio. So you guys can check that out on YouTube, or if you prefer to listen to it, you can go to plantstrengthradio.com. You can listen and watch there. And then it's also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Stitcher for the audio. Actually, Girly just asked a question.
Oh, yeah?
Are any of my family members vegan as well? Unfortunately, no. My brother and I, my younger brother, well, I only have one brother, but he is younger than I am. We both went vegetarian and then vegan at the same time. And unfortunately, he went back to not being vegan because when he was still in college, he was running track, and he went to Springfield College, which crazy. We just posted our Chicken Bites demo recap video at Springfield College because we're going to have the Chicken Bites on the menu full time starting in the fall at Springfield College. And that was one of the big reasons why I reached out to Springfield, because when my brother was his senior year, he started losing a lot of muscle because they had no vegan options. His lean protein sources were tofu every now and then. They didn't have it every day in the dining hall, and beans. And beans made him very bloated. And
Yeah.
I don't even eat a lot of beans because I get bloated too a lot. So he was stuck on a dining hall plan to pretty much eating like veggie burgers, which don't really have a lot of protein. Couldn't really buy protein powder for himself. And he was burning like 4,000 calories a day when he was having track practice, and he was struggling to keep up with his caloric intake. So he went back to not being vegan, and he's slowly transitioning back into being vegetarian and vegan. But I'm trying to work on him because, you know, I feel like he's kind of just hesitant because of his experience that he went through. But but yeah, I always work on my family, and I talk about my family. I talk with my family about this all the time, and they know exactly how I feel. And I have these conversations, and sometimes they don't like to hear what I have to say, but it doesn't really matter to me because yes, maybe they feel uncomfortable in the moment, but the fact is that uncomfortableness is going to pass. I am standing up for beings who can't stand up for themselves and who are eternally suffering and losing their lives. And I'm doing exactly what I would want done, or what I would do if my family were in that position. And that's what I say to them. And I say, listen, you know, you maybe feel uncomfortable about me talking about what these animals have to go through. Well, think about this. I'm here eating dinner with you out at a restaurant, and you're eating their dead bodies and secretions in front of me. How uncomfortable do you think I feel? Especially because I go and I see these animals firsthand in person. I see them suffer. I see them die. I've watched animals be killed right in front of me. How uncomfortable do you feel? How uncomfortable do you think I feel? And once I kind of like actually had that conversation, then they kind of started to see that different side and be like, oh wow, okay, maybe I understand this a little bit more.
I think that's a really good point, and a lot of people kind of shy away from explaining that, or maybe they just don't realize it's a really good way to put it across that this is not just some diet. This is not just some weird thing. It's actually really bothering me that you're even eating this in front of me. You know, I think that making that connection between like, I have seen these animals die. Do you understand what you doing this in front of me makes me think of? How it makes me feel? You think you want to have a nice meal with me? What is nice about this? I can't be comfortable here. I can't feel good. You can make it. We know it's not about me and you, obviously, but when it comes to your family who don't really understand and they're not connected with the animals yet, making it about you can actually segue really well into the animals, because you can say, I am uncomfortable. I see them die. And this, when you're eating that, it reminds me of it. And do you want me to be uncomfortable when we're having dinner together? No. So think about it.
Sometimes they get it in the video that just dropped at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time today. Jamie, who's one of our activists and she's our assistant content director, she did the whole video herself. It's called The Dark Side of Vegan Activism. And she talks all about this topic, how she's starting to feel very isolated and alone because a lot of her close family and friends are not vegan. And she explains this stuff to them and they just don't get it. They don't get it. They don't make the connection. And it's hard because we love our family so much. Yeah. But it hurts us because they just don't really support. They say, oh, I support what you do. You say you support what we do, but your actions don't say you do, because you're going against everything that we stand for by eating meat and animal products, especially doing that in front of us. Exactly. So it's like she explains that. It's a really great video. I would highly recommend checking that out.
It's a really good point, and I made that. Yeah. Sorry. Yes. Plug the video first of all. Please go check that out, guys. It's on the Plant Strength YouTube, right?
That's yes, Plant Strength. Yep. Yes. Just type in Plant Strength on YouTube.
Definitely go and check that out. It's a really important point, and you touched on a point that I've also been talking about recently. That this idea of like, oh, I support you. I support vegans, but I'm not vegan. I made a post about it on Instagram, and I know this whatever you call it, this kind of line of talking pisses people off, vegans and non-vegans, because they say, well, no, they can support us. We can have allies. We can have. That's when you're focusing on this as if it is a human movement. Like, oh yeah, we can have allies. You know, no. If you are contributing in what is harming these animals, you are not an ally to the animals. You might think you're an ally to me. But you're definitely not an ally to me because of the same reason, and you're not an ally to them. So you're not an ally in any way. You may tolerate us. I'll give you that. Like, oh, I'm tolerant of vegans would be a better thing to say rather than I am an ally of vegans. You know what I mean? Right. For sure. We've got two super chats. We've got Mark. did a super chat. Thank you so much, Mark. And actually, he did make a comment as well. Thank you. I'll just read it out. Where has it gone? Mark J. David, Bobby, and Annie, great souls, my heroes. Thank you. So thank you so much for the super chat. Really, really means a lot. And remember, guys, if you have a question you really want us to answer, use the Streamlabs donation link, which is up in the pinned comment, or use the super chat. Streamlabs is better, though, because it takes less of a cut. We have 2 Streamlabs donations to read out. I've just got one here. Sharon says, hi, Bobby. Well done for all the work you do. Have you noticed any difference to your strength since going vegan? I have subscribed to your channels.
Yes, I mean, I can tell you if you guys want to see right here, like I'm not suffering or lacking any muscle at all being vegan. I definitely feel the best that I've ever felt. My recovery is so fast and I am the strongest I've ever been. And I played football in college. I've been consistently resistance training, weight training since I was 14 years old. I turned 27 next week. And I was an athlete growing up, playing multiple sports from the time I was young, football, baseball, basketball, starting at 7 years old, all the way through high school. And then I played tackle football all the way through college as well. And I'm in the same condition that I was when I was playing football in college, but the difference is my recovery is so much faster. My biomarkers are so much better. My cholesterol is so low now. My triglycerides very low. My LDLs, the bad cholesterol, is very low. My HDLs, good cholesterol, is very high. And overall, I just feel phenomenal, very strong. And because really, at the end of the day, what it comes down to is calories in, calories burned, and the type of training that you're doing. So if you want to get strong, then you have to lift heavy weights. If you want to, like David, you run long distances. So that's a different form of training. If you want to be able to run long distances, then practice running long distances. You're not going to build as much muscle and you're not going to have the same strength, but I can't run but it's like, I won't be able to run like how easily you'll be able to run miles and miles and miles at a time. So it's all different styles of training. But yeah, I feel the best that I've ever felt on a vegan diet.
What position did you play in football when you were playing?
So growing up, I played running back, fullback, and linebacker. So
obviously, I was gonna guess literally. I'm pissed off that I didn't. I was gonna say running back or linebacker. Obviously,
that's what I played. That's what I played when I was growing up in high school. But then when I got to college, I did play running back and slot receiver. But then I finished out playing my last 3 years as corner. So that was that was a tough position. Really tough. Yeah, it definitely challenged my athleticism, and I had a little learning curve period because I had never, up until that point, I had never really had to cover guys one-on-one. So it was just a completely different feel. So I had to have that learning curve, but and then I kick returned and punt returned as well.
Nice,
so that was awesome. Yeah.
I used to play here in the UK, not here in Finland, but I used to play in the UK when I lived there. I played QB for quite a while actually, and before that I was playing wide receiver. So a lot of Americans get surprised that we have leagues and college teams or university teams in the UK. But I played for quite a while.
It's coming up. It's getting big.
Yeah, I was pretty shit though. I won't lie to you. I was pretty shit. Got some really cool photos of me in the pads, though. And I made I got a few good memories of landing some really nice hits as a QB, which is always good fun. Like no one expects that, So I've got some good memories. But yeah, I was definitely a bit shit. But I had the mind of a linebacker, but the body of a QB. So it was not very good, I try and do shit that you would do and I'd get flattened, I had this mind of I want to hit someone, but then I'd get absolutely devastated 9 times out of 10. So unfortunately, All right. We got another question from this again from a Streamlabs donation. So thank you so much. It's from myself. Love to you guys. I'm struggling. I can't even get my husband and kids to go vegan. Stay strong. So I guess the question would be there, what would you say to someone who's, this individual or anyone who's having trouble getting the husband and kids to go vegan?
I would say first, sit down and have a conversation with them. Always ask them about what they think. What does vegan mean? What does it mean to them? And really try to understand their perspective first. Have those conversations and then ask them what would you want done to or for you if your life was on the line? That's really the biggest thing, is connecting with the animals. And whether you're a compassionate, loving person towards animals or not, it's not about, veganism isn't about compassion or love. It's about doing the right thing. It's about doing what you would want done to or for you if you are on the receiving end of these violent actions. And 10 out of 10 times, nobody is going to say they would want that done to them. So that right there tells you, okay, you have the morals to be vegan. You wouldn't want this done to you, so don't do it to others. That's something most of our parents taught us growing up. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. If you don't have anything nice to do, don't do anything at all. So ask them from that perspective. I would say show your husband and kids slaughterhouse footage. I would say, look, this is the process of what these animals have to go through. And then also start showing them, because people get emotionally connected to their food, and they have a hard time breaking away from those habits because they're so conditioned. And especially, your husband, who's a lot older than your kids, has a lot longer time on this earth where being conditioned and being used to eating these certain products. So start making really amazing vegan dishes. Show them alternative products to meat, to dairy, to eggs, like chicken bites, for example. We have our own plant-based meat for meat, like oat milk, soy milk, almond milk for dairy, like Just Egg for eggs, or you can even make a tofu scramble. And then like for cheeses, there's so many different vegan cheeses. Show them all of these different products that are available, that it's just easily, instead of using this one that comes from an animal, use this one that's made from plants and is cruelty free and it tastes just as good, if not better, and it doesn't cause any suffering, right? Suffering that you would never, ever choose to willingly endure. Ever in your entire life, in your right mind, you would never agree to be abused and to have your life taken just because someone got taste pleasure out of your dead body and secretions. You would never choose that in your right mind. So don't try to justify that it's okay for another living creature to go through it, or whether they lived humanely, they lived a great life. None of this. Have all of these conversations with them over time, and then and that should ultimately, hopefully lead them to going vegan eventually. But it is hard. I definitely understand it.
It's very hard. It's a great answer. I think there's no simple answer to that. I think I agree with everything you said. There's nothing I would even add to it. Actually, you touched every point, and I think you just got to keep trying, plugging away, and don't. As much as it may hurt you, maybe don't over-invest in this, in that there's two people that you love and that are very close to you, but they are still only two people. If you could spend hundreds of hours on these two people and never succeed, if you feel like that's the way it's going, then take those hundreds of hours and put it somewhere that you know is going to be more productive. Like, for example, putting 200 hours into creating content, putting 200 hours into going and giving speeches or talks to people who are already interested is going to bring far more change for the animals than spending 200 hours on your son and husband. As much as it hurts you personally, maybe just try and think about it like that. If you're getting nowhere in that, well, I tried, maybe someone else can try and change them. I don't know, invite them to go watch a movie with another vegan, or go to a vegan event, and then you focus on others that you can definitely have more of an impact on,
Yeah, and I see some comments in here saying like divorce
Yeah.
him. I mean, it's tough, because I personally won't date a girl if she's not. If she doesn't have to start out being vegan while we're getting to know one another, but I will not enter into a committed relationship with someone who isn't vegan. So eventually, if she goes vegan over time while we're getting to know each other, because of course, I mean, veganism is my life. It's my company. It's what I do. And what I'm so passionate about. Yeah. And I don't need you to start a vegan company or become a vegan activist. I just need you to connect on a deeper level of, you're just doing the right thing here. And if you can't see that, especially after everything I've showed to you, then we can't be together, and that's okay. So maybe if like it really bothers you that much, because these are very close people to you. That's why I had to move out of my hometown, because I didn't feel like I had the connections with my family and my friends there. They just didn't connect on the level that I do. And it was hard. And so I felt very isolated in my hometown. And then once I moved down to the city and I was surrounded by DJ and Jamie and Tyler and all these guys that are, and Malik and all these guys that are on my team, like with Plant Strength, who live here, but then meeting the whole vegan community down here, I feel more at home here than I did back at home because I surrounded myself with people who connect on that same deeper level. So, I mean, if that's what you really feel is necessary, you got to do what you got to do, because if you're not happy in that relationship, you know, obviously be there to support your kids. But if being with your husband if he can't connect on that level, and if you really feel like that's something that's going to bother you for your life, then that is something that you might need to do. And it is what it is. You don't force yourself into something that you don't want to be in. Life's too short, right? Life's too short to live that way. Yeah. We'll go for one more question, and let me just check if there's any. No, we'll do one more question. We'll finish on a what I guess is not a serious question. At least I don't know if it's serious or not, but it could be seen as serious or it could be seen as a joke. But either way, we'll answer it both ways. Why can't vegans be violent for the animals like the Allied forces did for the Jews in World War II? So I'll open up on the answer to this one. I'm taking this with a pinch of salt. I assume you don't actually mean this literally. But I would say the biggest difference between what we're doing now and what was happening in World War II was that in World War II, the majority of the world was against what was happening. And that's why there was a world war. As it stands right now, people who identify as vegan are a minority. Within that minority, people who are actually fucking vegan are an even smaller minority. And then within that minority, the ones who will actually go out and do something about it are an even smaller minority. So we'd end up with, like, let's imagine 1% of the entire population is vegan, and then 1% of them is vegan, are really vegan, and then 1% of that are the ones who actually will do something about it. You've not got even close to the numbers you would need to wage war on a non-vegan population. So even if you wanted to, it would just be a futile effort. But I do believe that, you know, one day, maybe in past our lifetime, when I don't think it's going to happen in our lifetime, but I think one day we will get to a point where the majority is definitely on the other side of this. And then if there is a large minority that refuses to stop doing this to animals, then maybe that majority who are now conscious and don't want to hurt animals anymore, maybe they will take up arms and take extreme, well, no, it's not extreme, is it? They'll take measures, adequate measures, to stop that minority from continuing to do that. That's what happened in World War II. There was a lot of countries that decided that no, that we have the power to stop this and we are against this, so we're going to go and do that. We're definitely not in that position right now. And I hope it doesn't come to that, personally. I'm not saying like, yeah, let's go to war. No, I hope it doesn't need to come to that. I hope actually that we don't need to go and start killing each other over this. I hope that people just fucking wake up and stop doing this to animals. Maybe that's just optimism. That's too optimistic. I don't know. But I think either way, it's going to be after our lifetime that anything like this is even considered. I don't believe we'll see it in our lifetime. But we can build the foundations for that vegan world. That's what I believe. That's what we're doing now. We're building a foundation for a world that we're not going to see, but it's still something we should absolutely work towards so that future generations can build it. If we do nothing, they've got nothing to build from. And, you know, we need to set the precedent. We need to build this now. Do you have anything to add to that? Sorry, or anything? No, I think that was a really great response. It's just, I think in our own sense, and you do see animal activists do this, who go in and free animals from slaughterhouses, or they steal animals from slaughterhouses. So I think if like that's really at most what we can do, it's just we're outnumbered. It's not really, it's a lot logically, it just wouldn't make any sense. Wouldn't make any sense to do that. So I don't think that violence is really the answer, because we're trying to stop violence. I mean, I guess that's what we did by waging war, is trying to stop violence. But at the same time, there is only so much we can do because we just don't have the numbers.
Exactly. And do you think you could, I can hear a little dog running around, I think. You think we could?
Yeah, we got the dogs. DJ just walked fast.
You think we could, introduce everyone to the doggo? Is it possible?
Yeah, to the dog. I mean, there's a couple dogs down here. Do you guys want to say hi to DJ? He's like been.
Yeah, sure, man. Yeah, if he's free.
DJ. You want to come hop on the live stream with David Rams real quick? Introduce yourself to everyone. Here, I'll take out my headphones.
Oh, cool, man.
Oh, cool. DJ More
man.
Fit here. Follow me on Instagram if you haven't already. How are you? How are you?
Yeah, all good, man. All good.
Proof. If you're wondering, can you be vegan? Can you hear
a lot of echo, by the way? Yeah, because my voice is echoing back. So if you could turn it down a little bit, it might work better.
Yeah. So if you guys
it's good now, yeah, cool.
Any proof about building muscle while being vegan, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that you can.
Yeah, I went vegan and I put on 25 pounds of muscle. So it's definitely possible. You know, you just gotta know the right things to implement and have the right people surrounding you. You know, because honestly, if I didn't have Bobby here, I probably wouldn't have been able to do it. You know, so it made a huge difference. So that's why we are doing this plant strength movement, because we provide you with those resources that you otherwise wouldn't have access to. You know, it's a family.
Awesome.
Yeah, totally.
Awesome, man. Awesome. And no, thanks for your
over to
yeah, sure, yeah.
As well.
No, thanks for your work as well, DJ. We haven't met before, but like I see what you're doing with Bobby, and it's really awesome work, man. And also, we talked about that video with you and the slaughter workers as well. That's been like the main topic of what we've been discussing, and yeah, I got big respect for you, how you handled that situation and held back from really losing your shit, which I think many people would have done with having something stolen from them. So yeah, overall, man, so big respect for you, and keep up the awesome work with you and Bobby on those, going out with the outreach, man. I think it's fucking brilliant. Yeah, really cool stuff.
Of course, bro. I appreciate it, man. After that, I realized that if we're not doing it, anybody else that tries to do it, they're not going to be able to do it the same way that we're doing it, because we demand respect out there. Like, yes, we are vegan. Yes, we are compassionate, we're loving, and we care about all living beings, but we demand respect. And that's one thing that people think that vegans don't care about, but I don't play those games at all.
Yeah.
I do not play those games. So, this movement's only gonna get bigger and bigger. And once we start going on tour, hopefully we can all link up soon and be able to get out there and do it together.
Yeah, man, we can link up online until then. At one point we can put together like some kind of hangout, which I'd love both of you to come to. We'll get a few more people in, and we'll just shoot the shit in a much more like relaxed environment, not like an interview. We'll just chill out and talk about what you guys are doing, your outreach, and your stories. And yeah, I think that could be really cool. Get some some different, because people are saying in the comments now that like, oh, so many awesome vegans, like, great work, everyone. And it's nice to see there are other people out there all doing the same thing, and like I think it's nice for us all to come together. So we'll put that together for sure.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, totally.
Cool.
I'll let you guys get back to your conversation, and
thanks, man.
Yeah, we'll stay connected for sure.
Cool, man. Awesome. Good to meet you.
All right, nice meeting you.
Cool, man. Yeah, we'll definitely set that up. That more like a casual, chill stream. We'll have it as long as it needs to be. Like set aside a few hours or whatever, and we'll do a chill. And it'll just be for vegans, though. I'll unlist it, so it'll just be so we can properly relax, say whatever you want to say. Video, not really for the public, more just for us to kind of hang out. That could be pretty cool.
Totally, I'm looking forward to it.
Cool, man. So yeah, that was brilliant. Thank you so much for coming on. We've had you for just over an hour now, so I think we'll wrap it up there. Thank you to everybody who stuck around and watched the whole thing, and asked questions and showed support, giving us nice messages. And yeah, definitely we'll do this again. We'll do this again on a different topic. If you come up with any topics in the future, just tell me. We'll come on here. I'm always up for a stream. Everybody, all the subscribers know I'm a big streamer recently. I stream quite a lot, but there are a lot of them are not public. You see, they're unlisted, so maybe you don't see them. But yeah, we can do lots of streams, different topics, different discussions, different people. We'll do some group streams. It'll be pretty cool. Do you have anything you'd like to close on before we wrap up?
I would just say, for anybody who's here that's not vegan, who's tuning into this, just always ask yourself what you would want done to or for you if you were in the position of the victim. If your answer is that you wouldn't want to live a life of suffering with a violent death, then you already have the morals right there to be vegan. Just connect with that and actually start acting how you would want if you were the victim. That really makes the biggest difference. And if you guys ever have any questions, feel free to reach out. You can find me on Instagram. My handle's right there at Bobby Physique. And make sure to give us a follow as well at Plant Strength Performance. You can check out our website and everything that we're doing, plantstrength.com. And then of course on YouTube, just type in Plant Strength. You'll check out our channel and check out all the videos that we have up there.
Awesome. Awesome. So get over to Plant Strength, subscribe, hit the like button on this video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Get in the comment section below the video as soon as they appear. It'll be like a couple of minutes after the video's been posted, right? So please be ready for that. Get in there, leave comments. It gets the video out there, gets more people aware of what it is. It gets more exposure for the video, so help me out. And if you enjoy these videos, if you want me to do more of this, help support me to do more of it. Join the Patreon team. It's patreon.com/David Rams. You can sign up. You get access to exclusive content, cool videos, more personal life kind of stuff that is not going to go on YouTube. And also you get access to these private Patreon chats that we do, like voice chats, like team calls over in the Discord. So you get all of that and you get to help me out. So, I mean, it's a win-win situation. Thank you again, Bobby. And I'll see you all in the next video.
Peace.